So, what exactly am I doing, and why am I doing it? Well, I must have been about 16 years old. While sitting in a literature class, we were discussing Greek philosophy, and my teacher decides to ask a question. He says, "Do you think that most people in the world are good? Raise your hand if you do." Now, reflexively and instantly, I raised my hand. To me, it wasn't even a question. But as I looked around the room, I was in total shock as I noticed that I was the only person with their hand up. I was the only one. But my teacher moves on and says, "Okay, now, do you think that you are a good person? Again, raise your hand if you do." Now, I thought surely everyone will raise their hand this time, but was again dumbfounded when I saw that only about half the room raised their hand, maybe even less. And it was in this moment, this tiny, tiny moment, that I realized that I saw the world a little bit differently than most other people. It's almost as if I was looking through a completely different lens. Now, fast forward many years to a job that I would hold for a long, long time. And at this company, and I would argue that at most companies, nearly all of the feedback and reinforcement given to our employees was negative. Every day, things were wrong, and people had to know about them. I guess the thinking was that it's impossible to fix your shortcomings if they're not hammered into you repeatedly. Now, this always felt ugly and wrong to me, but it also amused me when we went out of our way to do something quote-unquote positive or discussed changing our culture. The reality was that as an organization, we quickly and easily reverted back to the negative. And the reason is simple. Most of us as individuals are driven by fear, and we see flaws before we see potential. All companies are run by individuals, and so there you have it. Negative reinforcement over and over again. I just could not go along with that way of thinking. And so when I was promoted to manager, I chose instead to become a leader. I chose to run my part of the business differently. I chose to see people for who I thought they could be, not necessarily for who they were in that moment. Oftentimes, maybe most of the time, I took note of their potential before they did. And while it took some time, before long, my organization was consistently outperforming everyone else in the company. Again, it was clear to me that I saw things differently than most other people. But now I was putting my belief system to the test, and it was being validated. Finally, I have an amazing family, an amazing wife, and 2 amazing kids. I can't control everything they're exposed to, and I know that oftentimes the world shows us its darker side. And it's important to me that my family can count on me to show them something positive, something good, to tell them that they can when the world says they can't. You see, whether you believe our world is mostly good or mostly bad, you have the ability to confirm that belief either way. There are examples of both everywhere, and it's not my job to prove to you that there's more good than bad. It's my job to prove to you that it doesn't matter, to give you a view of things through the lens that I look through. My hope is that what you see is compelling enough to change. So that's what I want. That's why I'm doing this. But more importantly, what do you want?